And if elected at the next election, the coalition has confirmed it will dump Australia's commitment to reduce emissions by 43% by 2030, arguing it's unachievable.
But they will remain committed to reaching net zero emissions by 2050, with more reliance on gas and nuclear power. Well, for more on this, we are now joined by the Head of Policy and Advocacy at the Climate Council, Dr. Jennifer Rayner. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Good morning.
You know, Opposition Leader Peter Dutton has said the reason that he may want Australia to be pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord is because the targets for 2030 is unrealistic. He's pushing instead for the 2050 targets. Is he right that these targets by 2030 is unrealistic?
Peter Dutton is now officially promising Australians more climate pollution and a more dangerous future for our kids. In this make or break decade to slash climate pollution, we need to be putting the pedal to the metal, not slamming the brakes. The latest projections from the federal government show that Australia is broadly on track to meet that 43% target by 2030. There is obviously a lot of work to do over the next 6 years, but we are accelerating our progress, and now Peter Dutton wants to slam the brakes on that.
But, you know, putting pedal to the metal, it's a great phrase, I suppose. Yes, we need to get to 2030. That's what the Labor government would want. But are we rushing these policies without really considering the details that may be in the longer term?
We know what we need to do to keep our kids safe from harmful climate change. That is to get rid of fossil fuels as quickly as possible by moving to clean, reliable, renewable energy. We have the technology, we know what we need to do, and now in the past couple of years we have policies and plans in place which are working hard to get us there. So it's clear that the Liberals haven't learned the lesson that Australians sent them at the last election, because this is just more denial and delay from the blokes who already gave us a decade of that.
All right, so the opposition leader has said that his government would build up to 7 emissions-free nuclear power plants to replace the dying coal plants here. What is your take on this switch to nuclear?
Peter Dutton's nuclear plan is a plan for more climate pollution. We know from the CSIRO's work and that of others that nuclear could not be online until sometime in the 2040s. In the meantime, his plan is variously either keep coal going for longer or burn more gas. Both of those things are going to add to our climate pollution problem, which is fueling extreme weather and climate impacts today and threatening a safe future for our kids tomorrow. So Peter Dutton's nuclear plan is no plan for Australia, because it's just going to add to our climate pollution problem.
Now, Australia's energy and renewables future is, it is shaping up to be a major campaign topic for the next election. What do you think is not being considered, talked about, as the issue becomes a political football?
What we really need to be focusing on here is both the huge opportunity to keep our kids safe from climate change, but also the opportunity that Australia faces in a decarbonising world to be a partner of choice in things like green metals, green manufactured goods, critical minerals, green energy. We have so much potential in Australia to power the next era of our prosperity after fossil fuels. And while we're kicking around things like nuclear or using more gas, we are not going all in on that transition, which is going to keep our kids safe, but also make sure they've got a really bright future with great jobs in a new era of Australian prosperity.
All right, we are now in 2024. We have 6 years until we get to those emissions targets in 2030. Can we really do it? Is this really realistic?
The important thing about the pathway that we're on is that we're learning as we're going. So Australia has never tried to roll out renewables at this speed and scale before, because we were stuck with a decade of denial and delay under Mr. Dutton and his colleagues. And so now we are on the path, we are accelerating down it, and the more that we do, the more we find out we can do. So the plans and policies that we have in place in Australia at the moment are pulling in the direction of clean, renewable energy at a federal and at a state level. And if we can keep that momentum going, keep that investment flowing, then we will be able to get where we need to go, which is slashing climate pollution further and faster this decade.